Hello and welcome to Genius Indian. Friends, today we are going to discuss environmental personhood. It is a legal concept which grants the status of a legal person to certain environmental entities. This legal concept assigns the rights, protections, and privileges of a legal personality to these entities. So, in case a river is declared as a legal entity or is treated as an environmental person, then anybody harming that river or throwing garbage in that river or polluting that river can be tried much more easily in the court of law. Such polluters can be tried and convicted as they would have been tried and convicted had they harmed a living person, a real person. So the question arises, what is the need for such a step? Why should we treat a river or a mountain like a person? Well, the reason is that today we as a global community stand on the brink of an environmental disaster. The temperature of the Earth's atmosphere has already gone up, and consequently the polar ice caps are melting and the sea levels are rising. Climate change and global warming could strike us any time, and to avoid such a calamity, the governments and the lawmakers are trying to protect the rivers and mountains and forests and ecosystems from exploitation by some vested interests. And that's why granting environmental personhood to a river or to a mountain is yet another effort to preserve the environment. As environmental emergencies are beginning to impact our world, people are gradually realizing that the existing legal framework which regulates the use of nature is often unable to protect it. This is simply because the existing thought is that nature in its various forms exists only as a property to be used and as a resource to be exploited by us human beings. This is simply because today forests, mountains, and rivers are generally seen only as objects to be consumed and to be taken advantage of. The idea of attributing legal personality to natural objects was first of all discussed by Professor Christopher D. Stone. And he said that as a society progresses, it confers rights on less privileged persons or groups or entities. And so, now the time has come for us humans to grant legal rights to trees and forests as well. He said there was a time when slaves did not have rights. There was a time when children and women did not have any rights. And there was a time when Native Americans, racial minorities, fetuses, and endangered species did not have any legal rights. So, if our legal system has conferred legal rights on all these persons, then why not it also provides legal rights to rivers and trees and ecosystems? Especially since they are unable to protect themselves from the exploiters and the polluters, and especially since they provide services which are absolutely essential for our own survival. In July 2019, Bangladesh became the first country in the world to grant the legal status of human beings to all its rivers. Since then, its rivers are treated as living entities in a court of law. The landmark ruling by the Bangladesh Supreme Court is meant to protect the world's largest delta. Following the ruling, anyone accused of harming the rivers can be taken to court and the polluter may be tried and convicted as if he had harmed his own mother. Of course, long before Bangladesh court, the High Court of Uttarakhand state in our own country also declared the rivers Ganga and Yamuna the status of living human entities. And then, within 10 days, the same court went on to declare the glaciers of these two rivers, Gangotri and Yamunotri, also to be legal entities. In the second order, the court went even further and ascribed the legal personhood to streams, rivulets, lakes, air, meadows, dales, jungles, forests, forest wetlands, grasslands, springs, and waterfalls that form the part of these two ecosystems. Again, the main idea behind this action was to prevent further pollution of both the rivers. As you know, these rivers are considered sacred by most Indians for their healing powers, and that's why a whole lot of Indians use them for taking a holy dip as well as for immersing the final ashes of their near and dear ones. But in spite of being so sacred, some people have been polluting them with total freedom. Various studies suggest that both the rivers have been heavily polluted by 1.5 billion liters of untreated sewage and 500 million liters of industrial waste entering the rivers on a daily basis. And that's why legal concepts like environmental personhood are being tried. Bangladesh and India are not the only countries to have granted ecological personhood on rivers and other natural entities. New Zealand and United States and many other countries have also done the same. Here I must mention that simply granting these natural entities the person-like status is not going to stop polluters from defiling them. It will take a lot more action from the regulatory authorities, but it can be said that such attempts bring extra awareness about the nature being important, and such classifications sometimes can really nail some polluters. While these attempts to personify the natural entities are very recent, the fact is that our ancestors did the same thing thousands of years back. And they, in fact, went a step further. Rather than granting equal person rights to natural entities, they, in fact, treated them like gods and goddesses. And although rivers, mountains and trees have been worshipped around the world, the biggest center of nature worship in the whole world is our own India, where every river is considered a Devi and every mountain a personification of a god. The Vedas referred trees to be a divine manifestation, and the ancient Hindus recognized the individual tree species as objects of worship. They not only built shrines below the banyan trees and peepal trees, they also declared tree planting a sacred duty, a duty as important as caring for your own children. In fact, they treated trees so much like living beings that they even organized mock marriages of trees with priests and eulogized trees as the most benevolent beings on earth. Trees were considered so sacred that Gandharva marriage, which was the name for love marriages in ancient India, could be performed in the presence of a tree. A boy and a girl could exchange the vows in presence of the tree, and they would be considered a man and a wife. So friends, this was a brief intro to the topic of ecological personhood. In the next episode, we will discuss yet another topic important for our personal and professional growth. So please don't miss it. And the best way not to miss it is to subscribe to Genius Indian channel. And the best way to spread the knowledge is to like and share the video. And the best way to improve the quality of the work is to provide your valuable feedback to me. And finally, the best way to end this conversation is to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching.